The next wave of business leaders won't just use AI, they'll master momentum with it, starting now. Welcome to the Mastering AI Momentum Show, where visionary founders and driven business leaders turn artificial intelligence, automation, and scalable systems into real growth, real scale, and real freedom. If you're ready to break bottlenecks, reclaim your title, and scale smarter, this is your playbook. Let's dive in. Here are your hosts, Allie Porter and Elise Smith.
Welcome to the Mastering AI Momentum Show, where we explore how forward-thinking founders and marketers are using AI and strategy to scale smarter, faster, and with more precision. My name is Elise Smith, and I'm your AI business strategist with Millionaire Momentum AI Agency, where we help business leaders replace guesswork with growth systems, combining human creativity with AI-powered strategy. And today's guest has built a career around one of my favorite philosophies: test, optimize, and scale. I'm joined by Jason Fishman today, the CEO of Digital Niche Agency, where he's led hundreds of high-performing campaigns across industries like equity crowdfunding, fintech, real estate, and consumer brands. He's also the host of the Test, Optimize, Scale podcast, where he brings practical growth frameworks to marketers and founders looking to level up their impact. With over 15 years of experience scaling multi-channel marketing strategies, Jason's approach blends data, content, and creativity. And now he's using AI, which of course we're going to talk about, to take that strategy to an entirely new level. So Jason, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Elise. Pleasure to be here. I've been looking forward to the discussion and love that introduction. I feel like I don't need to say anything further.
I love it. Well, so first off, with your agency, I feel like you focus on marketing in a little bit of a different way than a lot of other companies do. So tell us a little bit more about who you serve specifically at Digital Niche Agency.
Companies raising capital. That is the biggest part of our client list. We do work with those groups, issuers, the companies issuing shares, issuing investment opportunities, post capital raise, in between rounds, commonly towards their B2B, their B2C, their user acquisition goals. And that's my history. So I'm able to talk to those algorithms, to those tactics as well, but have found significant value in being able to work with these groups to actively bring on investors, funding, and the marketing value they get from these initiatives.
Yeah. And I love that. I love how it's funny that it's in your name, right? How niche that is. Because, you know, until we had the conversation just the other day, I don't think I realized that there are, you know, marketing companies that actually help you to focus on raising capital for your business. And then it's an entire process. I was looking at a form that you had filled out of like one of the business challenges that you have is helping people understand how long this process can take. It's not like putting their name on a website and then investors are throwing money at them, right?
Unfortunately not. You'd think with billions of people on the internet a day that that's what it would consist of, but no, it's a longer run. I compare it to some of these other types of marketing campaigns where you wouldn't expect $5 million in sales the first month your site goes live, at least not without the right traffic channels in play. And we're constantly having to share, our case studies, but why those worked, and other campaigns that don't produce enough. And yes, as a marketing agency, it's important to have a specialization. We fell into this world of capital raising, and rightfully so. When I look at startups, 9 out of 10 fail the first year. Based on different stats, studies that I reference regularly. A lot of the times it's because they're undercapitalized. So to be able to focus on this area of a company's growth, and we do this from solopreneurs up to public companies. The public companies can actually file a priced round through Regulation A. Groups can use these types of listings to direct list and go public. So it's everything in between. A startup, a multi-billion-dollar company at that, and can reference some of those clients. But to be able to intentionally bring capital in through marketing has been very impactful for our clients.
Yeah. And it's so smart too, because I feel like a lot of times people don't know where to go when it comes to capital raising. It's like,
Yes.
go to the bank and get a loan. But there is a whole marketing strategy behind it if you want to do it correctly and sustainably too. And so I think what you're doing is just absolutely amazing. I was fascinated with it by the second that I watched looked at your website. And you guys definitely need to check out digitalnicheagency.com. Now, tell us a little bit more about how you got started with this. Have you always been an entrepreneur at heart?
At heart, yes. In practice, had to get a few years into my career before that really happened. Worked at different agencies, was at a social gaming startup, was part of the capital raise process there. I created over 75 versions of our deck. I saw all the inefficiencies and everything it took with meetings and the percentage of those that actually closed to bring on funds. We had merged with an advertising network, and I then spent the next bulk of my career over there working with a lot of Fortune 500s, uh, rolling out emerging tech, and got to see what worked, what didn't work across a spectrum of industries, budget levels, timelines. But I wanted to really be involved in the startup space here in Los Angeles, and I started a growth marketing firm. Uh, you mentioned niche, you mentioned specialization. It was a little hard for us to figure out our footing where we had a referral network and that was great, no complaints, but at the same time, you kind of have your hands tied to that as an agency. And until you really make your own name and find your own marketing channels and have your own lead gen and growth and referral systems that are sustainable, it's a little hard to pinpoint growth. And I was listening for opportunities. We were introduced to Regulation D, 506C, which basically just allows for companies to solicit accredited investors, high net worth audiences, high household income individuals, families, households. And the light bulb went off for me because I thought, hey, now, instead of just hearing about the capital raise conversations our clients are having, we can actually bring investors to them. In fact, I come from the ad tech space. I have data partners I could utilize here and reach those people specifically with targeting. So we did, and we started running programmatic ads, banner ads to these premium audiences, if you will. First campaign we worked on produced 2.83 million and was a very low ad spend. So the client was very happy. They were actually featured as a Forbes 30 under 30 for energy because of the success of the campaign and what they're pointing to. Again, a lot of marketing value. It's not just the capital. We were then getting introductions and referral partners, inquiring, and then different intros from them, from other issuers. We got attention from the reward crowdfunding space. Indiegogo and Kickstarter agencies started asking to white label our ad services, and worked on a volume of those over the next year, over 50 the next year. And they brought us to our first Reg CF campaign, regulation crowdfunding. Went into practice, went into law in May of 2016. We had advertising running day one, and that allows for both retail and accredited investors to invest, any adult. So as of 2025, a Reg CF can raise up to $5 million. There's another filing called Regulation A Plus that you could raise up to 75 million. And again, some companies are able to use that to direct list and go public. Other public companies can do a priced round from it. So across those three filings, have worked on over 500 of these deals, have collectively raised 9 figures of capital. Kind of fell into it as we kept getting more, of these thrown at us, and it became our primary focus over the years. It could be shorter term clientele, it could be smaller budgets to start, but then they absolutely scale as they're seeing performance, and we get to build relationships with different types of investment banks and venture capitalists that can make different intros at times for clients that turn into investments for them. So it's a very rewarding space to be a part of.
I bet. I love that. I love being able to help them solve a problem that they probably didn't know how to even solve themselves. And I think that's one of the greatest things about being in a service-based business. So thank you so much for sharing that. So when it comes to your own business, then what were some turning points where, you went from one client to, really the heights that you're at now?
Mm, mm. Well, it's just a matter of telling the story for me, and we're able to get more attention from referral partners, from prospective clients. I could talk about some of those turning points, and just building off your point there. Before this, founders were limited to their first degree networks, maybe their second degree networks, and this democratizes access to capital for those founders, those CEOs, access to deal flow for retail investors, where they could be part of these growth stage companies early. So it was a matter of finding the companies and the organizations that service them. Those referral partnerships have been instrumental. So lawyers and accountants that work on the filing, the Form C, the Form D, the Form 1A, consultants that are, and quarterbacks is the term in this space, that are advising these issuers, the FINRA regulated portals, the websites that are marketplaces that showcase volumes of these investment crowdfunding deals. Building partnerships where they write an introduction to us has been a big part of our growth. I did find that as I was mentioning with the referral partnerships, we didn't have as much intentionality with it. So we started testing our own marketing channels, and now we bring on new marketing products by first testing it for us as an agency. So advertising, we run our own search advertising, social advertising to get webinar signups, to retarget. We run display banner retargeting. So someone gets to our site, they're going to keep seeing ads for us. I put out content, a weekly podcast episode, each with a different guest, monthly webinar each month with a new deck, new educational material. I speak at conferences regularly. I was just in Washington, D.C. last week, and give you a list of different appearances. Get out an article every other week, part of the Forbes Agency Council, Crowdfund Professional Association, Global Equity Crowdfunding Alliance, Senior Executive. I could keep going on with those. And we run our own outreach. So any company that's running one of these campaigns will hear from us and reach out over LinkedIn, over email. We take our own medicine, as I like to say. So that was a big turning point for us, because now we were able to say, hey, we're going to produce twice as many leads next month, and we're going to have a push to bring on new account managers with the deals that are coming through, with the new clients that are entering the space. So the creation of all those content platforms led to a level of validation for us, the ability to have more direction in terms of pinpointing our marketing and business development teams and where to focus and where to grow. But the more I got involved in the industry, the more I've marketed, the more good things come out of it. That along with the case studies and really looking to capitalize off the case studies, which I probably don't do enough. I give all the credit to the founders, really work on their behalf. But it's something when you look at a campaign and see, wow, over $50 million raised, 29.25x return on advertising spend on the pixel data. This is incredible. The numbers, the measurements speak for themselves.
Wow, that is so amazing. So if you have someone who's listening to this episode or watching it, what is like a tip that you would give someone as they're scaling their company past the millions?
There's so many different directions to take that question. With my expertise, I want to channel it towards marketing. I could talk about, removing hats, hiring a CEO, moving from founder-led sales. I could talk about many different things without for scalability. But I think for me, it's a relationship to the numbers, having a long-term marketing plan. It's one thing to have a content calendar for a month or a marketing plan for the year. But 5 years, it's much different. Now you're looking at goals that are a little scary for this year, but you're working backwards and saying, hey, 5 years from now, 2030, this is what my goals look like. And then you get to 2026. And you have to ask yourself the tough questions and not just hope you grow because of how great you are. Where we need to say how much revenue are we producing? How many clients? How many users does that consist of? How are we going to bring on those clients? What do we have to spend? What do we have to do in terms of marketing? What type of referral partnerships do we need? And this is what showed me that is great, but could be limiting. What type of advertising do we need to run? What type of field marketing needs to occur? What type of outreach? What do we need to do with content? How many views? How much actual traction does that content need so that we're getting enough leads, enough customers coming in? And again, you work yourself backwards so the goals feel much more comfortable for Q1 of the following year. But it's confronting. It's more about the process than the finished product. You'll be able to reference the finished product again and again and again and again, and those numbers should be polished and right up your sleeve and ready to reference at any point. But it's asking yourself those tough questions so you can really gauge, hey, we need 75 clients at a time. The next year it's 150. Here's how we're going to get there. Here are the channels. You could explore funding. You could bootstrap and use revenue to get there. We have, but you need to know where you're going. You need to have an algorithmic roadmap to get there and understand each of the driving factors that are going to allow you to achieve those results.
Such a good answer, especially because I'm a huge fan of Dr. Benjamin Hardy as an author. And his new book, he really talks about how if you set a big audacious goal or big hairy goal or however you want to call it, right? Like lots of different things to call it, an impossible goal, then you start to see what you're doing is either helping you to get to that or it's hindering you, because
Yes.
there's only so many paths to get to an impossible goal. And I feel like that really aligns with what you're talking about, of knowing your numbers, of being able to determine, what is actually going to get you to that goal, or are you playing smaller than maybe you should? And are you ready for crowdfunding or, equity raising and that kind of thing? So I love, love, love that. Well, so then how are you guys using AI in your business right now? Let's kind of get nitty gritty here. Tell us what's possible.
Sure. Before I point to what's possible, I like to emphasize AI is not just a shortcut, it's a path to better quality. And I don't like my team to use it unless it's better than human, if that makes sense. Meaning, I'm less interested in saving my team time, more interested in a better result for the client. And I mean that. I scrutinize my team around it. I've held off on different AI practices years back and then incorporated them once they're ready, because that's what it's about for me. I say that because I do believe there are some different social posts online that make everything sound too easy. And then I look at, what those groups are physically using it towards. And I'm all about the numbers. I'm all about the results. I'm all about what it produces. So that being said, the simple answer is most everything, meaning you can really put a second pair of eyes. You could put a second a second entity of intelligence towards it, if you will. So everything from recording a call and taking the notes and then looking at your calls for the year and comparing where you're getting the best responses, what topics, what conversations you are getting the most engagement from. You could look at underlying factors of which groups you're on the phone with that move forward on your offerings and which did not, and look to incorporate that into your presentation. I use it for data collection and data analysis to a large degree. I want to be able to reference industry stats with the groups that we speak to. So there are websites that show all of the capital raises in this fashion to date. There's over 10,000. I can tell you which month, which industry, which valuation, which revenue multiplier an issuer should use based on those stats. And I could do it using an LLM in real time. It's nothing short of amazing. It would take me hours, days to do a lot of those calculations, and I have. So I appreciate it that much more. I'll tell you, I second check everything. You don't just want to use it. And I could tell you stories about having arguments with an AI around sports analytics and me knowing like, no, this player did this. So, they're tools. You need to make sure, what you're putting together is lining up, and you have a conscious gauge of everything it's putting out. So you want to put small enough data sets in there so you can still do that. But I love it for the data analysis, data collection. Scraping is a concept that's been used in digital marketing for years. You can scrape. There's a lot of different ways to set this up. There's a lot of different ways to export. You can then match that information with email list databases and a lot of other places where you can use it for targeting to reach the right audiences. Video, image, graphic design. Our creative studio is showing me a new AI tool every month. I'm very excited about the social network aspects of Sora, and I should say too. And it's pretty amazing that once you become an expert prompter, you can really put out a high volume of assets that are to spec. You have to reformat. You have to make sure you're really refining what you're putting into those fields. Don't take a first offer, if you will. But what you can do, the amount of content you could get out, what that means for your search engine optimization, what that means for your content funnels and following up with the premium audience, such as investors, what that means to create high impact creative, something that reflects a $20 million valuation for a company, or a $200 million or a $3.5 billion valuation for a company, which we have to do. We can really take the production to the next levels with these tools, streamline, spend less time. But again, the quality coming out, it could take a while to get the right prompts in there, but it's jaw dropping. I like to share as well too. So I have my podcast, over 200 episodes. I've used a tool to get transcriptions of each of the videos, not just of me, but of the guests. And I've created a GPT around that. I've had to add additional framework. I have a model called the 8-point plan. I talk about our media buying systems, which I find to outperform other types of approaches. So it requires me to continue to put care, put time, put updates into it. But someone could ask a question and it feels like something I would say in terms of an answer, something that the guest would add. And I think we're at the forefront of that. We're going to be able to have AI versions of us and even polish the aspects of us that we like in terms of our professional output, and add to it. So I'm always exploring more ways. I have to put caps. I'm not putting too much time into the calendar around it each day, but each day, and it's a practice. You want to ask yourself after listening to this, how can I incorporate AI into my day today? Maybe not a huge list, maybe 3 things, but you build the right habits around those, perhaps over 3 weeks. They say habits are built over 3 weeks. I think you could find yourself in a different place next month.
Oh, yeah, definitely. One thing that I want to pull out of what you said there, because it was all really, really good, but you were saying that you need to be kind of an expert at prompting before you're able to get really good things out of it. And
Yes.
some people, especially CEOs, because we're so busy, that we might play around with ChatGPT for a second and say, that's not my voice, or, that's not how I would say it, or I could have had my team member do it better, right? And it was interesting because ChatGPT got this huge boost of people using it, and then it kind of started to die down a little bit, and now it's going back up. And I think that's because they don't understand, or we don't always understand, how to train it and how to prompt it correctly. What kind of advice would you give people who are feeling like they're not really getting much out of ChatGPT?
Well, the first thing I would say is don't give up. It's like training a human. You wouldn't hire somebody and expect them in their first 2 weeks to be doing the job flawlessly. maybe not even effectively yet. Maybe they're just listening and taking things in during those first 2 weeks. That's 80 hours, maybe 100 at a busier organization, let's say. So have you put 100 hours into your AI yet? And there's a lot of tactics. There's a lot of great approaches. There's already countless books. I'm sure you could count, but just an excess of books. And they have those apps where you could hear, a book in 12 minutes, 15 minutes. I actually like that format a lot. There's ways to get summaries of books. You could ask the AI to summarize AI books, for you, AI podcast audio. And I'm always inspired when I'm consuming content. They say reading gives your thoughts breath. I always have this inspiration. There's another part to that. Writing gives your thoughts precision. Reflection gives your thoughts depth. I kind of tell myself this stuff on a daily basis. And when I'm writing, when I'm reading, I'm understanding what I'm doing here in that moment. But what I would say is it takes the right captain to steer the ship. If I'm looking at a capital raise strategy that's based on digital marketing and looking at the result that the AI is presenting, I'm probably going to be able to tweak a lot of things that, let's say, a marketing student hasn't run campaigns before, hasn't run a capital investor acquisition initiative before, is going to be able to identify.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 years, they're far better than me. It's not to discount their abilities as much as to say the pattern recognition, if nothing else, is going to be far different for me. Could have used a different example. Feels like I'm just talking about myself there, but you could apply that to any industry. You could apply that to any space. I've heard people say, hey, the AI created a business plan for me in 5 minutes. And then I look at the business plan and the marketing section's weak. I would never invest into it. I would never feel like it's going to have any type of result, let alone hit its goals. Sometimes it's just putting out info with the right shifts. Hey, add these sections to the marketing plan, incorporate these channels, make sure these timelines are put in there. I want to see these KPIs, these key performance indicators. What's the cost per acquisition? What's the return on ad spend? Base it on comparables, based on these sites that have all these case studies and for these industries listed on it. By putting more prompts in there, you could manage it to a point of effectiveness. If you just look at the first result and think, this business plan's weak, this is fluff. Why would I? This is a bubble. I'm going away. I have no reason to use this. It could probably take down the world too. It's like a Terminator 2 scenario. You're missing the value, and these are tools. It's all a matter of how you use the tools, and they're more approachable tools at that. You don't need the top expert in the world working with you for, countless hours a week for years to be able to master this skill set. You just need to continue to give it time, continue to shape it. But what you'll be able to get out with your knowledge base is different than the person next to you. And if you learn to utilize these tools now, think of what's possible in 5 years. Don't learn it then, learn it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we already know this is the future is already here, and it's just going to continue to get more AI focused and probably more refined as we go through as well. And
Yes.
because the thing that really stood out to me when ChatGPT and the LLMs just in general really kind of clicked is that it's like training an employee. You don't expect the employee to be able to read your mind and create the thing that you want them to create right off the bat. You've got to do the back and forth. And so I think that's such great advice for us to remember, regardless. I mean, even as we're building out full AI agentic systems that do things for you, there is the trial and error piece of that to be able to train it just like you would a human. So, but then the end product can be so much more efficient and effective and just amazing. So as we're wrapping up here, tell us a little bit more about DNA and where you feel like you're going to be 6 to 12 months. What are you working on that's got you all excited?
Sure. There's a variety of products that I'm working on. I always have to be at the forefront of marketing, from how to utilize podcasts more, really applaud what you're doing and the value you're giving your audience. And I think more brands can be looking to create their own, or utilize this media and for a whole circle of different verticals that touch their target audience. Running advertising from publishers, social media accounts, similar you would an influencer, running different programs around content production and for SEO purposes, as I mentioned. There's a lot of things on the radar. And so I'd like to see more products in the next 6 to 12 months, higher volumes of campaigns, more capital, raised on these initiatives, of course. Be serving as the vice president of the Crowdfund Professional Association next year. Have a few things in mind for how we're working with regulators, different groups who can push for more awareness in the space. So more content, more client success, and more products.
Love it. Okay, so the funnest question of all, since we build out AI agents, this is the question I always have to ask because I love it, because I love to see where people's mind goes. So if we could build out any AI agent to take a task off of you and your team's plate, what would you want it to be?
I would say conflict resolution. And I say that because it's the toughest thing to train for. And I believe conflict may not be the right word, but it's a necessary part of every partnership over a long enough period of time. They say you don't really know someone until you've been into a conflict, into approached an obstacle with them. So think of the conflict word as a light obstacle, but still. I subscribe to a saying of breakdowns lead to breakthroughs. There's an opportunity when you run into a wall with a partner, client, employee, employer. Some people run away from that. Oh, let's fire these guys. Oh, I don't want to work here anymore. Oh, this isn't great. The AI doesn't work. And if you look for that opportunity, you can have a stronger relationship coming out of it. You have a stronger tool that you're working with. I would tell you that it's an important aspect of running an agency, in my opinion. And it can be the toughest thing to train an account manager on. And a lot of it is, blank canvas, you're painting it together. It's in the moment with the partner, whomever it is. So if an AI was able to do that, that would be pretty cool. I mean, think about it. Our legal system, mediators, there's so many avenues for this, and it's an exhausting process. It could take years to just work through a situation that if an AI was able to solve in a few minutes with multiple parties, I think would be very impactful. I could have said biz dev. I could have said something on the creative side for campaigns, but I think that is actually tougher to get humans to do consistently. So that would be of interest to me.
Yeah, I love that. It's so funny that you would say that because we built a whole GPT around that. We trained it on conflict resolution, and we have been able to save clients. We've been able to save our own business partnership with it. So I just have to give a shout out to my business partner who's been working with me on this. So go to m2aiagency.com, guys, if you want to know about our conflict resolution GPT. But it's so funny that you would mention that because we did see a need for it. I mean, there's so many, any relationship, you're going to have conflict come up, and how you handle that is so important to make sure that both sides are feeling heard and it's not just one side over another. So I love that you said that. That was such a great segue. So now let's focus on you. Now, if people want to know more about you, obviously they can go to digitalnicheagency.com. But any other ways that you would like them to get a hold of you?
Come out to Marina Del Rey. Let's go to our offices. No, I have my LinkedIn, Jason Fishman, Marina Del Rey. Don't be bashful. Send me an invitation. Send me a message. We have digitalnicheagency.com. That's our website. I also point you to our YouTube, my podcast playlist, our webinars. I find to be rich in information and actionable insights. So I would definitely point you to our YouTube.
Love it. And we will have all those links in the show notes. So make sure you connect with him. Because as you can tell, he really knows his stuff. But one of the things that stands out to me about Jason is that he is just so specific in helping you in a really incredible way that I think a lot of times we don't even know that we can receive help in that way. So, Jason, I can tell how much you care about your prospects and your clients and your audience. And I'm just so grateful that you took the time to be on our show today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Enjoyed the conversation, and hope listeners, viewers get a lot out of it.
Absolutely. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Mastering AI Momentum Show. Keep testing, keep optimizing, and keep scaling with AI as your advantage. We'll see you on the next episode.
You've been listening to Mastering AI Momentum. If today's episode gave you clarity or sparked a breakthrough, share it, review it, leave us a comment, and show Ali and Elise how you're turning AI into ROI. And make sure you subscribe, because the next episode could be the strategy that unlocks your next level. Until then, build smart, scale fast, and let AI multiply your momentum.